Hey everybody, welcome to the Red Zone. I'm Mike, this is Shaun, and today we're going to talk about college football coaches. It's end of the season, coming to the end of the season. This happens every year. Teams start to fire their coaches, and then that leaves openings, and then those teams go out and start trying to poach coaches from other schools. And then what you end up happening is you have a lot of coaches who end up leaving their team before the end of the season, before the bowl game's been played, and taking other jobs. And for me personally, the reason I think that I wanted to talk about this is because I have always thought this is terrible for the players.
Yeah.
I feel personally the NCAA needs a rule that schools cannot hire until after the national championship game.
Yeah.
I really feel that way. And I know that they do it because of recruiting and everything else, but you know, you have these coaches who go into the players' houses, these recruits, and they promise them things, and they talk to them. They want them to come to our school and do this and that. And some of these players look at coaches almost like a father figure.
Yeah.
And when these coaches take off and just walk away and leave and don't even coach the bowl game, it's like a father walking out on his family. I mean, and I don't think it's right, and I don't have any respect for coaches that do it. I mean, but we're going to see it because you've had, you know, and I don't mean to, I don't know what these guys are going to do, and I don't mean to call them out, but you know, you look at what Tom Herman did at Houston.
Yeah.
He had that one kid who was a 5-star. Goes in, promises, no, you come to Houston, I'm going to be here, we're going to win. 1 year he leaves.
Yeah.
And then right now at Iowa State, you have Matt Campbell. What's he going to do? Now, if he takes a better job, fine, but at least coach your team through the bowl game is what I think. I mean, what do you think about this?
Okay, so the one like just dominating topic here is recruiting. The reason they leave when they do, and I'm not saying it's right, you know, there needs to be some kind of structure there. Mm-hmm. Because it completely just throws off. I mean, we've seen Alabama, you know, just last year with Lane Kiffin, you know, that whole mess that they kind of went through. Yeah. But, you know, December, January, those are the last 2 months you get to really go into, and not like a new coach could really go do a ton of damage, but, you know, say you know, Matt Campbell ends up going to a school that's struggling right now, and he could actually pull some kids to that school because he's a good coach, and he can go tell them, you know, look what I did at Iowa State. If even just a part of you was thinking about coming to this school, just know I know what I'm doing. But then what does Iowa State do if they're in a bowl game? You know, it's completely unfair to the school that coach just left. And I do think there has to be some kind of structure there. Because if you're going to sit there and criticize players for taking off the bowl game to go get ready for the NFL, you've got to do it for the coaches too. Because they're looking out for their future. They're looking out for their best interest, just like the kids are doing that sit out that bowl game to go get ready for the NFL and not want to get hurt. So
OU had a player, who was it last year?
Charles Walker.
Gave
up 4 games into the season.
Leaves with 4 games left to go because he wants to prepare himself for the NFL draft.
He did get a concussion. He
did,
and that was the second or third concussion he had in as many years. So I do think he had some family members. I'm not at all sticking up for him or siding with him. I think what he did was it was cowardly, and you stick with your team, and that's why he's not on an NFL roster this year.
But that's what I heard on the radio and everywhere else. You know, people saying he's a quitter and cowardly and things like that. But if you're going to say that about players that do that, then you need to say the same thing about coaches that leave, because it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same. These guys in the media and ESPN and on the radio, they get out there and they want to bash and bash and bash the player who decides, hey, I'm going to get ready for the NFL. But then when a coach leaves a team before the bowl game or whatever and just takes the new job, they don't say anything about that. It's like, well, it's part of the business. College football is a business. Well, you know what? It's a business for the players too, who are looking for an NFL future. So now I agree that quitting, I don't think the players should quit, and I don't think the coaches should quit. And I think what I believe is that the NCAA needs a cold period. I think from December 1st to January 5th, no contact with recruits at all, none. And that way it would not matter.
Like that.
But it wouldn't matter. And then you say, you know, from let's say November 15th to January 5th, you can't sign new coaches. You can't. That's a complete cold period. No coaching changes. No nothing. I mean,
I think there is a dead period during because there's teams that don't make a bowl game, and you could say, well, they deserve for this time to go, but I think it's because teams have so much. I'd have to look into when the dead period is, but there is one around bowl game preparation weeks and stuff like that. So I need to look into that and see, and we could maybe have a part 2 to this. But I agree with you. I don't think that coaches should be able to leave and just leave their team, to fend for themselves. Granted, bowl games it's a consolation game unless you're playing in the national championship, the college football playoffs and stuff. The other ones kind of seem like a consolation now, but that's a huge it's you can monetize the difference of a coach being there, not being there, because of what kind of recruits you can bring in. And I can tell you, Oklahoma started recruiting a lot better after they beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl a few years ago. Had Bob Stoops left before that game, maybe they don't win. Maybe they don't beat that team, and then they don't get those recruits that they got right after. That's a huge difference, and then their team isn't as good, and then people aren't watching the game. It all trickles down.
Yeah.
It's like it's a huge. It's a lot bigger of a deal than just one person leaving a program.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe, and I also think there's, these coaches that take a job at a school for 1 year and then they leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost feel like the same rule that applies to players should almost apply to coaches, where if a coach coaches, he has to coach at least 3 years at a school. You take a job, you got to coach 3 years. If you leave before then, you got to sit out a year, almost like players that transfer. Because, coaches, it's like you take a job at Bowling Green for 1 year, then you're hop skipping to Minnesota and then somewhere else.
That's
it's
capitalism.
If you're willing to take a job at a school, you got to be committed to that school for at least 2 or 3 years.
That's a different discussion. That's a discussion of just loyalty and being morally right, I guess.
I know.
But everybody's all looking for it is capitalism. It's I have the freedom to do whatever I want to do to make the money that I want to make for me and my family, and I'm going to look out for my best interest. It's the same thing in every other profession.
I just think that the contracts should be enforced more, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Akron is not going to hire a coach and give him a 1 year contract. He's going to sign a 3 to 5 year contract to get that job. So unless the school wants to get rid of him for cause,
that's why they put
buyouts. I know.
They put buyouts. They're people are more and more these days. They're protecting. The school's protecting themselves. The coach and his agent are protecting the coach. So,
bottom line, my opinion, any coaches watching, coach the stinking bowl game. Don't quit on your team. Don't be a quitter. Yeah. And for me personally, if I had a kid who was D1 potential and I had a whole bunch of college coaches coming in here recruiting my kid, wanting to sign him, if you've got a history of leaving and quitting your team early, he's not playing for you. So that's just bottom line. So it doesn't matter what school you coach at. So.
Yeah, maybe they add some kind of thing, rule that if your coach leaves, then you can leave too. That's the kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for this topic. Leave us your comments. Let us know what you think about this issue and about coaches leaving early before the season's over. So be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. For Shaun, I'm Mike. You've been in the Red Zone.